6 years ago, we received what many call the greatest Mario game of all time, and recently I can't help but think what's next for the series. Obviously, with Super Mario Wonder releasing, we have both our 2D and 3D games for the Switch, and while some are hoping for a direct sequel to Odyssey, I have my doubts that it's actually coming. Historically, we've only ever received one sequel to a 3D Mario game, that being Galaxy 2, but that was a unique situation, especially since it was released just 3 years after the first game. If we look at the lifespan of Nintendo consoles, they tend to last between 5 and 6 years, meaning that at this point, we're just waiting for the Switch 2 or whatever they have planned for the 2024 holidays. For any doubters of this, take a look at the recent Game Awards and Nintendo Directs where Nintendo had nothing to say about a new Mario game or even any new games for their big franchises. Do they still have time to announce some big things? Maybe, but I have a feeling that the Thousand Year Door remake is the last big send-off for the console. So let's just assume that the next 3D Mario game will be released on completely new hardware. With this knowledge, we can really think big about where Nintendo wants to go with this new game. Naturally, I'm sure people want to go in the way of an open world adventure, and that does kinda make sense. On the Switch, we've been getting a lot more of these kind of games, but they always seem to struggle to run properly due to limited hardware. And considering how protected Nintendo wants to keep their main franchises, it's no wonder why we haven't gotten a true open world Mario game on the Switch besides hints of it in Bowser's Fury. When you think about it, the natural progression of the series would absolutely go in the direction of open world, and as much as people want a direct sequel to Mario Odyssey, I don't think that a game like this would adequately progress the series enough to satisfy us for the next 6 or 7 years. Even if you made Odyssey in a true open world setting, I think that it would largely feel the same, except more empty. It's not really like Zelda, where a large bit of the game could be focused on exploration or discovery. Nintendo likes to keep their Mario games very tightly designed and gameplay forward, with the scenery and music complementing that experience instead of being the focus. So in order for Mario to become truly open world, they need to find a way to incorporate that amazing level design in a huge space. This is pretty hard honestly, since a huge appeal of the Mario worlds is how diverse they are, but realistically it would seem odd for all these various levels or kingdoms to exist so close to each other in one world. Perhaps they could do open world on a smaller scale with having just a few of the worlds connected at a time, or, of course, they could stick with the Mario Odyssey style, which, to be fair, could still work great today. We have to remember that open world doesn't necessarily mean good or better. In fact, it could even ruin a game if it isn't optimized properly. So, where do I think that this game will go in terms of how its world is designed? Well, I think it could go in a few different directions. One way is I think it could be a slightly less linear version of Mario Odyssey. And you know, to be fair, in Mario Odyssey, you did get to choose where you would go to at times between the Lake Kingdom and the Wooded Kingdom, I believe, but that's not really what I'm expecting for this next game. Perhaps it's going to be a little more of a Paper Mario style hub area where you enter the different worlds from there. This can kinda be an open world-ish style in the sense that it's not just a level select screen, instead you physically travel to each place from a large hub world. I think this strikes a perfect balance between a completely open world and a completely linear one. But before we move on from this topic, I should mention the Mario game that has already tried open world, and that's Bowser's Fury. So the reason why I haven't mentioned this game much until now is because I think this is actually how the next Mario game will be. This is an extremely short adventure, only a couple hours long, yet it managed to be an incredibly impactful addition to an already great game. It did this through a completely new way of playing Mario, being completely open world. Now I don't know about you guys, but it seems to me like this game was basically a demo to see how successful this style of Mario would be. And well, it seems to me like it was a success. So yeah, if I were to bet money on the next style of 3D Mario, it would be this. That out of the way, what will the actual gameplay be like? Could we see the return of mechanics like the spin from Mario Galaxy? And might we see FLUDD return from Super Mario Sunshine? Well, that's literally impossible to predict, but obviously these would be amazing to have. Something that I think that would be a lot more likely to return though are power-ups. Super Mario Odyssey was one of the only games in the entire franchise to not have a single power-up. Instead, these were replaced by captures, essentially transforming you into various objects or enemies. Now I know some people really love this and others didn't like it at all. So for this future 3D Mario, I want to see both. I mean, think about this. How cool would it be if you were able to fly around with some sort of power-up, but then you're able to capture things midair? I mean, technically that's already possible in Mario Odyssey, but I want it on a more advanced level. Perhaps one way they could interpret this is being able to store certain captures in your inventory, allowing you to use certain abilities in different places to reveal secrets and locations you couldn't possibly reach before. This is something really common in games like Pokemon and Zelda, so I could anticipate Nintendo adopting a system like this for Mario. And you know what, maybe things like the spin and flood could be incorporated into the game through power-ups. Either way, I want to see something beyond just having more captures. And hey, I can't forget to talk about Yoshi here too, which was a surprising character left mostly out of Odyssey. In terms of the other gameplay elements, a big question mark is how Nintendo wants to handle moons, stars, or whatever they use in this game. Mario Odyssey really went quantity over quality with these, and I remember seeing a lot of criticism for this game padding out content in the post-game. For me, it's a bit of a weird situation since I definitely like having more content available in a game, but if it just feels cheaply added in, I really don't like it. I'm not going to rush to criticize Mario Odyssey for this though, since it was really trying something completely new to the series. How do I think they'll handle this in the next game though? Well, I actually think it's something they'll keep. This moon system is perfect for an open world game, and I can't think of another better way they could do it. Of course though, I think they'll innovate and perhaps even get rid of the unnecessary moons. But next, let's talk about what kind of worlds we'll even be seeing in the first place. You know, I think Mario Odyssey really nailed the diversity of its kingdoms. I mean, if we strip things down, a lot of the stages are the basic grass, desert, snow, beach levels that are in every Mario game. But besides that, we got crazy ideas like New Donk City, Bowser's Kingdom, and the moon. I mean, for the next game, you can literally pick any idea, and I would say it's possible now. I think that one series Nintendo should really look at for inspiration is Paper Mario, which has some of the most insanely creative worlds in any game. I mean, just imagine a world like Shy Guy's Toy Box being in a 3D Mario game. And not for nothing, the Origami King had some great worlds in it that would certainly translate to 3D Mario as well. I mean, how cool would it be to have a little ocean level with different islands to explore? They could even extrapolate the whole Moon Kingdom part of Odyssey and let you explore even more of space like they did in Super Paper Mario. These world concepts could be a video in and of itself, so if you have any cool ideas, you can let me know in the comments. Otherwise, let's move on and talk about an interesting point that I thought of recently. With the release of Super Mario Bros. Wonder, I can't help but think they might try and incorporate these crazy ideas into 3D Mario. Now, I'm not necessarily talking about Wonder Seeds, although that would be amazing in 3D, but rather the whole concept of breaking the mold of what fans expect of the series. So far, Nintendo has completely changed the formula for Zelda, Kirby, 2D Mario, and kind of 3D Mario. I will admit Mario Odyssey was pretty revolutionary at the time, but it has been years, and I think that there's a lot of new ideas Nintendo has tried in other games that might be worth a try in their biggest release yet. It's not completely out of the question for this next title to literally change everything about what we thought Mario was, especially when you consider that it's going to be on a new console. Also, every 3D Mario pretty much changes everything about the last. I mean, who really could have predicted Mario Galaxy following up after Sunshine? Looking back at my predictions and wishes for this new game though, I kinda notice a lot of RPG influence with them, and while considering I'm a huge fan of that genre, that makes sense. I think the core takeaways Nintendo could get from their RPG titles is just the focus on pure creativity and subverting our expectations. The great thing about a lot of the Paper Mario and Mario Luigi games was that we didn't really know what was in store for us in each title. This came down to brand new characters, stories, and worlds. Regardless of what I think though, I think Nintendo is going to go ahead and completely blow us away with whatever they announce. We really have never been able to predict the direction of these games, and I don't think that's going to change here. I think that whatever the game ends up being, we surely won't be disappointed with the results, and in all likelihood we could be getting the greatest Mario game of all time.